guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Nancy. For those of you that are new here, you're welcome. Remember to hit that red subscription button down below and also to give this video a big thumbs up. And if you're not new here, thank you so much guys for your continued support. I really appreciate. I know it's been a while since I've been on here, but I'm glad to be back. Okay, and with me today is the Bible. Don't worry, I'm not going to preach or anything, but today's video was actually inspired by a verse that I read in the Bible, and I'll be sharing it with you guys soon. This is really a special Bible for me because it was gifted to us by my wonderful mother-in-law on our wedding day. So it's really special and I really treasure it. So the verse is Luke chapter 18 verse 18, and the Bible reads, "Now a certain ruler asked him, saying, 'Good teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?' Verse 19, so Jesus said to him, 'Why do you call me good? No one is good but one, that is God.'" So we'll come back to this verse, but I just want to start by saying that growing up, I was called a good girl a lot, and I think I love being called a good girl because it really just gave me that validation with my parents and also gave me that assurance that indeed I was doing the right thing by them, by myself, and just living right. And that was really important for me because my mom would always tell me to be focused. My focus should just be on putting God first, school, finding work, and then marriage was just the last thing on the list, always with my mom. And so I think growing up, my mother really just emphasized this thing of me not messing up. Like there was no room for me to mess up. And not that it was wrong of her to tell me that, but I think any parent would do that. Yeah, it's not and I know most of us can relate. I think every parent does that. Yeah. And so my mother was this person that would really just give herself an example to say, look at me. If I went far with my education, I wouldn't be here. I would be obviously in a better place. So you really need to do well for yourself. You really need to make sure you do the right thing. When you do the right thing, the consequences, the results will be obvious. You have a good life, in short. And growing up, I think also as a young girl, just seeing the reality that was around me, seeing people that had messed up or were messing up. I think also for me, I just wanted something different for myself. And so from the time I was young, I just told myself, okay, my story will be different. This is not the life that I want for myself. This is not the kind of life that truly I want for myself. I think I want to do better for myself. I want a different story for myself. And my mother would always be there to tell me, it's possible if only you do this and that. And so for me, my life really was just about making sure that I do the right thing, and it's not that I wanted to be praised or anything, but like I've said, it was coming from within me. Yes, my mother was there to guide and direct me, but also as an individual, I think I just wanted a different story for myself. And so because of that, I started being called a good girl because for the most part, I think, I don't know, but from my own perspective, I think I did the right thing for the most part. And so that really just made people call me a good girl. And so I was being called a good girl a lot, and I loved it. And I think I'm not sitting here trying to say that being called that is a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. I call my son a good boy when he does something that I'm happy with. And I think it's good for children because it really just reinforces that positive behavior in them. And I think it did it for me. It worked at the time. But I feel that when I started growing up, you know, in my early late teens, somewhere there, I started wanting to live my own truth. I started feeling trapped, you know, in this thing of being called a good girl. I started feeling boxed. I started feeling limited in some way. And so, you know, I started, like, there was this thing within me, like, I wanted to do something different. There are things that I wanted to do, but then, according to what I had known and how I was raised, I just knew at the back of my mind to say, okay, this is wrong, you're not supposed to do this, you know. And so it instilled that more like fear in me of doing certain things, because I knew that if I do this, if I mess up, then oh my God, my life will be completely messed up, which I now know now that it isn't the truth, you know, because sometimes you really just need to own up your truth. Because for me, I believe so much in authenticity, being authentic with yourself and with who you are, because it's very, very important. When you are true to yourself, you'll be free. It just frees you, it frees your soul. So it's important to you know, to live your truth from inside out. And so I started feeling trapped and confused, you know. And for me, like, I've always lived, I've always been this person that lives from inside out, you know. I do things like that comes from within. It's rarely that I do things, I easily get influenced by my surroundings or anything like that. For me, I do things that I truly, truly believe in. And so there are things that I started feeling like doing at the time. And because of being called a good girl, you know, I felt trapped in that box, you know, where I was, because there was an expectation that was placed on me by people. And so for me, really just doing anything that was not considered right at the time really just gave me that fear within me to not to even try. But as years went by, or as time went by, I just said, you know what, I'm not being true to myself here, you know. And life is short, let me just be true to myself. And I think the moment I started doing the things that I wanted to do for myself and with my life, I became more happier. Because, you know, when you're living up to people's expectations, there will always be this resentment within you, especially when you see people that are just living freely and doing the things that they love, which you can't do because you want to be a people pleaser, yeah. And so I discovered that the moment I started doing the things that I love, things that I like, the moment I started figuring my life out for myself, I became happier, I became freer, you know. And the thing with me, most of my childhood, I grew up in church. You know, that those people that um, we call ourselves as in growing up in church. Not that you grew up in church, but like you spent most of your time, you play in church. You spent most of your time at church. Let me just put it like that. That was me as a child. So most of my time was spent at church. Not that I regret anything or whatever, but I feel that being in that circle, there were things that we are taught that, okay, this is wrong, this is right, this is what. And so because you have that society around you, surrounding you, and so you try to live up to the according to the teachings that you've been taught. And so today is not and that story is for another day, you know. I think I'll soon put up a video where I'll talk about my Christian journey, you know, how that has been and where I am now, my belief system then and now. And yeah, so I think that's a story for another day. And so I had a lot of you know, fear within me of doing things that I really just wanted to do. Not that I wanted to go rogue or wild or become this rebel or anything, but just living your own truth, like being true to yourself, owning your journey, you know. And it's only now that I'm learning to say, okay, God is love, you know. Yes, we mess up, and it's not that I'm sitting here encouraging people to go out there and make multiple mistakes, mess up, and come back and say God is love. No, we need to make we need to make careful decisions with our lives, because you can't go through life making mistakes because you want to learn. No. you It's not up to you to make all the mistakes for you to learn from them. No, sometimes you have to learn from other people's mistakes so that you can decide better for yourself. And so according to coming back to the verse that we read, you know, why did Jesus Christ refuse to be called God? You know, and he said no one is God but except one, who is God. And when going into theology, we know that we know about the Trinity, where Jesus Christ, God the Father, and the Holy Spirit are one. That's the Holy Trinity, right? And so if God is good, automatically it means that Jesus Christ is also good. But he refused to be called God. And I want to, just share with you guys a few thoughts that I have on this verse. And so for me, I think the reason why Christ refused to be called God is because truly no one is good. You know, it's no one is good. No one is good, because good is good, right? Good is good. So good cannot be contaminated with bad, and then we come back and say, I'm good. Yeah. I don't know if I'm making sense. Like, if we say I'm good, then it means I have to be consistently good, because I think goodness is not really a state of being. Yeah. Like, no one is good. If it's like that, no one is good, because sometimes we are good, sometimes we are bad people, and it's like that. Like when we make mistakes, when we fail to live up to people's expectations, then it means that we are not being good, right? If we are being real. So I feel that Christ refused to have this expectation placed on him, because truly and really no one is good, guys. Okay, and I feel as a society, it's high time that we stopped placing these unrealistic expectations on people, because at the end of the day, we are all just people trying to figure out ourselves, striving. Like I said, goodness is not a state of being. It's not something that you arrive at to say, okay, I'm good now, we good. It's not like that. But goodness is something that we must strive for every day, because the moment you feel or think that you're good, you stop doing those things that make you good. So goodness really is something that we must strive for on a daily basis. No wonder Christ refused to be called good, because he never wanted that thing to settle with him, to say, okay, I'm good, people think I'm good, then yeah, we are good. No, Christ never wanted to have that thing fed in his mind that he is good. And so I feel that it's the same with us people. When we place these expectations on other people, when we box people, when we limit people, it tends to when we place these expectations on people, it tends to limit people from just experiencing life, living and learning. Life is about living. Life is about really just discovering yourself, rediscovering yourself, starting over. Life is about new beginnings. There's nothing like you've arrived. Life is about striving every day. And so for me, this verse really just it just took me back to my childhood, where I was constantly being called a good girl, and that really limited me. And the moment I tried to deviate from that expectation that people had placed on me, you know, the name changed. The name changed. People started calling me good girl gone bad. Other people would tell me to my face. Other people would inbox me. Other people would call you. There were all these talks happening in the air and things like that. But that never really bothered me because, you know, I was living my truth. I was just being myself. I felt freer. You know, I'm not saying each one of us should have our little truths. No, I want to, and I'm not talking about I'm not trying to encourage sin, or I'm not trying to encourage people making mistakes. No, what I'm trying to say is um what I mean by living your truth is, you know, just being yourself. Be yourself. It's not good to pretend, you know. If you're not, if you're tired of doing something, you shouldn't continue doing that thing because um you're only called good based on that thing that you're doing. No, when you're tired, stop doing it. If it's something that is no longer making you happy or no longer serving you, then it's high time that you stop doing it, you know. But it's sad that most of us, we live with this fear that if I stop doing this, then people now think I'm not a good person. People now think I'm not a good girl. People now think I've become a rebel. People now think I've gone rogue. No. For me, I believe in being authentic, in living your truth, and just being yourself. I think life is so much easier. I remember there's another verse, like I don't want to preach, but this has reminded me of a verse um, in the Bible. I think it should be Ecclesiastes, right? Where Solomon concludes to say, God created man simple, you know, but man has, we have complicated our own lives. We ourselves, like God created us very simple, you know, but we ourselves have complicated our own lives. And it's like that when we place these unrealistic expectations on people, and also when we try to be people pleasers, we are complicating our own lives, guys. For how long will you be a people pleaser? For how long will you you know, just not, for how long will you pretend, in short? Okay. And I made this video just to put it out there to say that it's wrong of us, first of all, to place these expectations on people. And this also reminds me of the conversation that I had with this guy. I remember when I was at Unza, you know, every weekend, for me and my friend, every weekend would go home, right? And so I remember one of the weekends I was actually going back into school. So I got on a bus, a Charleston bus. We would get on Charleston buses. So I got on a bus heading to Unza. And when we got to Manda Hill, there was a guy that got into the bus and sat next to me, and so we started chatting up, and we discovered that we're actually headed, both of us were headed to Unza. And so he started asking me, you know, about my life, my personal life, and what I was studying, just that normal conversation. And at the time, I remember, I think things were not really working out in my relationship, and I think I told him this statement to say, I think I'm looking for someone better now, something better. And then he told me, you know what, there's no one good, there's nothing better out there. They're just people at the end of the day. They're just people out there. So don't go out there with the mindset that you're looking for something better. And that really stuck with me. And every time I try to, you know, try to have this expectation on others, I realize to say that no one is perfect, you know. No one is an angel. Like at the end of the day, all of us, we are just people trying to make it to another day, trying to make it through the day. Okay. And so that really stuck with me even up to now. It's a lesson that I always go back to whenever I try to, you know, just have these expectations of people. And, you know, I just remind myself to say, No one is good. At the end of the day, people are just people. People go through the same experiences, people experience the same emotions, you know, people have the same dreams. People, we are all just people trying to live the best um life. We are all seeking for the same thing, you know, but the difference comes to who's doing and who's not doing. You know, we all desire the same thing, but the difference comes down to who's doing something about it, who's doing something about it, and who's doing nothing about it. You sit there and die with your desire when you can do something about, you know, the thing that you want to make it a reality. And so this is what I wanted to share with you guys. And I think as a society, we need to move away from this trap of calling other people good. So thank you so much, guys, for once again taking your time to listen to this video. I really appreciate. Please remember to give this video a big thumbs up. If it's something that you can relate to, also remember to drop me a comment down below. But I really need that thumbs up, because it really just helps, you know, to make these videos more visible, and just expands our audience, and also just increases the visibility of this channel. So thank you so much, guys, and see you in my next video.